Want to chat to everybody and tell us where you all are dialing in from, then use the chat. Let me remind you first of our house rules. You're welcome and encouraged to share your comments and questions, but please make sure that you maintain a respectful and positive communication, and remember not to share any personal or sensitive information. Please note that harmful, violent, or inappropriate comments will not be tolerated. We will deactivate the chat briefly at the beginning and at the end of the session so we can post some links of interest. To begin with, I'd like to thank our supporting partners, The Teaching Touch and Twinkle Argentina, and you will find the links in the chat to their excellent content. As well as our partners, our goal is to continue providing teachers of English with useful insights, tools and resources that can be put into practice in their classrooms. Today, we are discussing how to motivate learners of English in the classroom, and we have three fantastic speakers to give us their insights, who I will now briefly introduce. The first, Susan Hilliard, is former deputy of the Special Needs Department of Camden Court Comprehensive, UK, and also former coordinator of English in Action, training 20 teachers to teach English through drama in special education in Buenos Aires. Presently, she's founder and director of Shelter, Susan Hilliard's English Language Teachers Academy, and a freelance consultant for EMI and drama with the British Council in China. Welcome, Susan. Eugenia Del Osa is a graduate EFL teacher and teacher trainer specialized in early years drama and special education. She designs teacher development courses and presents them locally and internationally. She coordinates groups of teachers in different educational contexts and leads the diploma in teaching EFL to young learners at Universidad de Morón. She's passionate about teaching in innovative ways. Welcome, Eugenia.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Karina. Karina Zhu has a master's degree in applied linguistics and TESOL. She has taught business English classes at international companies, and she's also taught general English to young learners. She's been a speaker at TEFL, TESOL conferences, and developed content for teacher training courses. Karina joined Bridge Education in 2003 in Buenos Aires as the head IDELT trainer, and is currently a Bridge tutor and academic trainer at Bridge English Center in Santiago de Chile. Hello, Karina.
Hi, Graham. Thank you very much.
So now, without further ado, let's move on to our first presentation, which is by Susan Hilliard. Susan, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen so that we can start straight away. There we go. And I'll put it on presentation. Hello, everybody. So pleased to see you here. We have quite a number of people in the audience. So what I would like you to do is to take a look at the screen and to note that I am going to talk about what makes learners tick today. I'm going to be asking you lots of questions. So what I would very much like you to do is to answer the questions in the chat box whenever you can. How do you feel? Look at these screen beans and write something in the chat to tell me how you're feeling, because I can't actually see you, so I can't see your faces. And our questions for today, and you can already answer these in the chat box if you would like to. How are your students different after the pandemic? What does tick mean? What makes you tick in a webinar? What makes your learners tick at school? We know what makes them tick outside school, but how do we make them tick inside school? How do you create tick-making situations? And what do you need to plan for? What theories can guide you? And how do you manage all that? I'm just going to have a look at the chat box and see, oh, people are excited. That's nice. People are glad. People are motivated. Oh, that's great. Lovely. I like it. So let's move on, because I'm very aware of the little time that we all have. Do your research in your context. Ask yourself these questions. What makes your learners smile and laugh? A lot of learning comes out of laughter. What gets and keeps your learners' attention? You need them to be attending. What gets your learners excited? And what are your learners' favorite things to do in school? What do your learners work hard at doing without you having to push them? What brings out the best in your learners? What gets your learners to try new things? What do your learners choose to do most often when you give them a choice? And I hope you do give them choices. Please remember that babies were born to learn. And we were all babies once, and we all learned a lot. But then we went to school, and school said, sit down, sit still, don't speak. So remember that babies learned to do everything by running around, jumping about, shouting a lot, speaking a lot, and that's how they learned the most in the first 3 years of life than they ever learned after that. So they were not born to be taught. Let them all play, no matter how old they are. I'm going to talk to you today about 2 packages that I have combined in my 50 years of teaching. I hate to admit it, but it's true. And I have taught in many different countries, as many of you know. And I have found that these 2 packages serve my purpose. Whatever religion I'm teaching, whatever nationality I'm teaching, whether they are young, old, whether they have a proficient level in the language, or whether they are beginners, whatever abilities they have. So please remember that we should always teach through touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste. We tend to rely on speaking and having them listening. So let's change that. Let's bring in other senses to what we are doing. And if we use multi-sensory education, you will make them tick. You will make them engaged. You will make them have the joy of learning, and you will challenge them. And then the spice. So what do I mean by the spice? If we were in the classroom, or if we were on Zoom where I could see you, I would do this in a different way. But what I would like you all to do is to take your pointing finger, and I would like you to draw a big S in the air while you're sitting down. And I would like you to airstream it. This is called airstreaming. While you're doing it, I want you to look at the nail on the end of your finger, and I want you to say, we're all going to be snakes today. So I want you to say, hope you're joining in with me. The S in SPICE is for social development. I'm sure you all hear about social and emotional learning classes. Well, we've already got that in our classes because we use the SPICE. Now we're going to do P. Got your fingers ready? And we go P, 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 P. A nice plosive P. And you put an H with it, you get physical development. We must have our students doing stuff. We must have them standing up and doing airstreaming, looking at their nails, and seeing how the letters are formed in the air. Now we're going to do I. Are you ready with your I? Not E, I. Ready? I, 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 I. I for intellectual development. Everything that we do in English language teaching must have thinking skills underpinned in it. So never give them very, very simple stuff. Even if they're only beginners, you can still use thinking skills to get them moving and to challenge them. Now we're going to do K. Ready with your pointing finger, looking at your nail, please. We're going to do K, 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 K. You're going to see the shape in the air. K for creative development. Every single class you do must have something creative, unusual, different, novel, because then they learn. They learn through doing different things in their maybe boring routine. And now we're going to do E, and we're going to say E, 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 E. Ready with me? And go. E, 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 E. E for emotional development. We must move them and have them moving, and have them moved inside, in their hearts, in their souls, so they go out of the lesson thinking, wow, I learned something, that was great. So let's see if we can do this through strategies. I'm not moving on. Make them tick by what you plan and what you do. Look at the faces of these students. Look at how they are engaged. Look at how they are involved with each other, working through the spice. So let's do a first exercise, which is a visualization, but it's a visualization with visuals and hands-on. So take in a box full of chocolates, because you may have some students in your classes who are aphasics, and that means that they don't have a mind's eye. I'm learning about this at the moment. So we teach them, these are the chocolates. Look at the box, look at the shape of the box, look at the shape of the chocolates inside. And we're going to do a little poem or chant together, but we're going to do the actions that go with it. So, a box of chocolates. Hip, hip, hooray! A box full of chocolates is my prize today. Triangles and circles, rectangles and squares. The box into my tummy. Chocolates, yummy, yummy, yummy. And then when they have learned that, and they have learned to do the actions that go with it, then of course you have to hand out the chocolates. So you have to decide to prepare that before you go in. So everything is about preparation, thinking, what makes them happy? What makes them happy? I'm sorry, I've gone wrong. I've gone the wrong way. Those of you who know me know that I do this very often. Okay, now, if you'd like to write in the chat box, this is something for your secondary students. I've tried to make a variety. So give them the stem, I am here too. And I would like you to write in the chat box, whichever one you choose. You can extend the stem, add to the stem as yourself. why are you here on this earth? Not in this webinar. We know why you're here in this webinar, but why are you here on this earth? I am here too. So ask them to complete the STEM. They could choose another character from history, or they could choose an object. I once did one about an iron during the pandemic, which was definitely here to make my life a misery. And so you can decide what you're going to say, what persona you're going to take on, what object you're going to take on. And in my experience, the older students have found this quite exciting. And now we're going to look at how we can write a senses mix-up poem. If you remember, I said to you at the beginning, please remember to do multisensory work with them. We have already done some. We've done some listening, we've done some actions, we've done some physical work, we've done some kinesthetic work, we've done some thinking work. So ask your students, how does creativity smell? If you could write in the chat box, that would be great. And then, how does success sound? How does self-esteem feel? How does confidence taste? And how does autonomy, what does autonomy look like? And what does achievement feel like? Put your answers in the box, and there you have your poem. You then ask them to go away and add to it, take away from it, add all the little words that they need, and they don't have to rhyme, and they make up a senses poem. Okay, lovely. Success sounds like a trumpet. Ooh, I love it. That's absolutely fantastic. What a great idea. And now you're going to have your witch's hat on. Hope you can see it. And you're going to take your wand. Ooh, you can't really see my witch's hat because I've got my virtual screen on, but never mind. I've got my witch's hat on, just like the witch in the picture. And I want you to repeat with me, please. I touch my nose, I touch my ear, and abracadabra. Everybody is a lion here. Let me see you being a lion. And then you take videos or photos and you put them in your blog. They can be anything you like. Ask the students for ideas. Everybody is an elephant. Everybody is eating a giant hamburger. Everybody is jumping up and down. What else can you think of? Ask your students. They will have great ideas. And then tell your partner through actions only. What do you love to do in your spare time? Something that makes you angry, an embarrassing moment, a strange dream you had, what a bully looks like, what a victim looks like. So we're using mine. And the walls or the desks have ears. I'll take my witch's hat off now. Ask your students to walk around the room, listening to the walls, listening to the stories of the walls. The walls really do have ears. So do the desks. Ask them to rest on their desk and listen to the stories those desks have experienced. And then ask them to tell you or write their stories down. It could be either way. So what have we been doing? We've been learning by doing. So we must have hands-on stuff. We must do something for students to learn something, not just tell them about the language or do drills with them. We have to have them doing something which goes with the spice. So interaction with people, text, realia, images, sound, video. They must be thinking, they must be feeling, they must be moving, they must be responding, and they must be creating. So then we get them ticking because they experience involvement, engagement, responsibility, and they choose because you give them choice. And learn lots of action songs for your little ones. I'm going to do this with you very quickly. Take your bowl, take your spoon, and sing with me. My daddy is a baker, yummy, 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 yummy. My mummy is a dentist, ah, 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 ah. My sister is a show-off, honky ponky, honky ponky. My brother is a cowboy, turn around, touch the ground, and bang. I don't know if your school will allow you to do that. You may have to change it to yahoo! Sometimes schools don't allow it. So look at personal interests and situational interests. What new activity can you include? What do you know already that interests your students? So I'd like to thank you all for listening, for joining in, I hope. So if you would like to learn anything else with me, you can come to my shelter, my Susan Hilliard's English Language Teachers Academy, and you can join it here on eltsusanhilliard.com. So thanks to the British Council, Argentina, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thanks to you, all the participants who have been here today and have been sending me such nice messages. I'm now going to have time to read them. So thank you, Graham. I'll now stop sharing and I'll pass over to you.
Thank you very much, Susan. That was great. Lots of great ideas there and wonderful songs. I'm just a little bit disappointed that the chocolates aren't real.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here they are.
A lot of people in the chat, I think, are the same as well. But never mind. We can't have real chocolates in a virtual presentation. But anyway, if you have any questions for Susan, everyone, then please put them in the question and answer section, and we'll do our best to address them at the end of the session. And now I'm going to turn, without any delay, over to Eugenia de la Osa. Eugenia, over to you.
Here I am. Hello, hello, how are you? Here we are. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this event once again. I am very happy to be here to share the floor with these great speakers. And I have been looking through the list of participants and I could see lots of names that I already know, people I have worked with, people I do work with now, lots of other teachers and colleagues. So thank you very much for being there. I am very happy to share this presentation with you because this is what I basically believe in for teaching, for the moment we step into a class. And this is something I learned through my teaching experience. And we're going to talk about brain-friendly tips to energize our classes. So here we go. So this is today's agenda. We will talk a little bit about me. I will tell you who I am. And then we will talk about brain-friendly teaching, brain breaks as allies, and the brain-friendly lesson itself. This is going to be short and sweet, but the idea is that you take lots of ideas to put into practice immediately tomorrow on Monday into your lessons. So this is me, and I chose a heart because I am very passionate as regards teaching, and this was the idea, to show you in a different way a little bit about myself. So read the words here, and you will leave. You will have something there on your eyes and something on your mind that will catch your attention. My idea is to bring brain-friendly tips, and this is one. Sometimes we have lots of words and words and words that we say or that we print for our students to read in long paragraphs. So sometimes if we make this shorter but more entertaining for their eyes, that's more convenient inside the classroom. So I can tell you I have experience as a primary teacher, as the head of the English department in a primary school and also kindergarten, that I am a mum, but I have always been a learner. All of the things that I learned about brain-friendly methodologies was because I was part of ALL method, alternative language learning methodology, in the year 2000. So that's, wow, perhaps some of you were not born yet, but I was in my 20s, and I learned a lot about the brain, and that was like my passion, looking for innovative ways to take into the classroom. So these are just some ideas that are related to my life as a teacher in a brain-friendly way, and that's what I wanted to show you, that we could share things, not necessarily in long texts, written or spoken, but with some words that catch and attract our students' attention. So what do we mean by teaching brain-friendly? The idea is to give our students a way that we have their brains entertained, their brains busy. So it is teaching in ways our brains learn the best way they can learn. So you might have heard phrases like the brain loves novelty, or the brain likes challenges. To make learning memorable, to aim at their long-term memory, and to get our students involved. So all of these things are things that happen when we teach brain-friendly, in a brain-friendly way. What do we mean by brain-friendly? The idea is we are going to put both hemispheres of the brain in action. We're going to store the language in their long-term memory. That's our aim. When we store the content we are introducing in their long-term memory, it will stay there longer. How do we do this? We need to bring novelty. What do we mean by novelty? New things, things that are original, that kind of surprise our students. They get like, wow, they did not expect this novelty. So when we bring different things and we keep them busy, we give them challenges, what we are doing is getting our students involved, and we are making their learning space, their learning process memorable. What I usually say about this is that the best thing for me as a teacher is when my students leave the class saying, wow, I had fun today. And they will not remember whether they have just worked on the simple present, the simple past, the super S, or the present perfect, or whether they can express sentences in the reported speech in the correct way. What I like is when they have this feeling that they have been learning, that they have been having fun, because we're, as Susan was saying, we're connecting with their emotions. So they need to have a nice moment in class. And this is what happens with brain-friendly learning. So the thing is, where to start? Okay, you said, okay, brain-friendly. Okay, and what is it that I can do? There are simple things and simple steps we can follow to start incorporating different ideas on brain-friendly learning. So I love working with brain breaks. And if you have ever been in any of my webinars or sessions or talks, I usually like playing with the right hand on the nose and the left hand on the ear, on the ear, and we swap. And so that's a challenge for the brain. So we can look for different brain breaks, different brain gym activities that will give the brain this idea of, oh, I need to connect with something different from the typical language classroom. So where can we use these brain breaks? The answer is anytime. Brain breaks are our friends inside the classroom. Brain breaks are there for us to get our students' attention, to catch their attention, but also to help them focus, to help them be more productive during the lesson. Why? Because it is a kind of moment when the brain makes a break. Yeah, and it releases all the extra energy it does not need to return to the concentration they need for the class. So to the concentration, I mean, but to incorporate new things. The brain needs to get ready to learn. We can use these at the beginning of the class. And this is a simple activity. It has to do with movement, as Susan was saying. You can show me your left thumb and your right pointing finger. And the idea is then we need to swap. And you ask them to swap. Why is it that we do this? Oh, that was my mistake. Why is it that we do this at the beginning of the class? We're getting their brains connected to the challenge. We're getting their brains ready to work. We are making neurons connected. There is synapses in the brain. The thing is, this is a 2-minute activity. And when everybody's starting the lesson, when everybody's getting into the classroom, when everybody's moving and getting ready, and you need to say, okay, wait, stop. Let's have a short brain break. And you have the one on the nose, or this one with the pointing finger and the thumb, and you change. And this requires some effort for our brains. The brains are getting ready, and that connection we have, that synapses we produce inside the brain is what we need for our students to get connected to what is to come. Apart from that, you will see that the atmosphere in the classroom will feel different, because they will start laughing, they will start trying and saying, oh, I can't do this, it's very difficult, it is challenging, how come I cannot do it? And the atmosphere is a nice atmosphere, and no matter their age, whether they are 6 or 65, they will follow this activity and they will have fun. So if you want to Google for brain gym activities, you will find many of these. Remember, it needs to be a challenge for their brains, because this activity, this brain gym, that I touch my nose and my ear and I swap from one to the other, I have done this for more than 20 years. It's not a challenge. This one is new to me, so I need to think about it. So my brain is getting ready to learn more. So start your class at the beginning of the lesson with a brain break activity, a brain gym activity, to get your students' brain connected to challenge. Now, it can be part of your routine. If you make this part of your routine, your students will know that we start this way with some kind of challenge for the brain. And this might change, because we can have a different kind of challenge. And taking into account that our students' learning styles, if you work with young learners or even with adults, you can bring any of these challenges. You can ask them to analyze this challenge related to maths or physics, and to answer this question, which glass will fill up first? So what we are doing is connecting our students' interests, challenges in a 2-minute activity, which is very short, and you're getting them engaged in what is to come. The idea is you're making this brain friendly, because some of your students might be interested in physics, some others in maths, some others in language, and you are combining all of these skills together. You can talk about this and work on critical thinking. How come? Why is it that you think this one is going to be filled up first than the other? So there is some discussion. And again, it is a 2-3 minute activity with authentic material. What happens with the following one? Perhaps you are familiar with the image where you have to read the colors according to the color and not the word. This is a more complex brain gym activity because you have to read the shape and the color you can see, but not the words. So I can say red circle, blue square, yellow diamond, and I can't see the other one. I think it's a blue triangle. And what about reading the word? Which is easier for you? So you can change the task with your students and always making their brain connect in a different way. Again, these brain breaks can be used at the very beginning of the lesson. They are short and sweet. And for me, they have lots of advantages. The first advantage is that if you put this as part of your routine, you will always start your lessons or they will always start your lessons in a good mood because they will be doing something that they enjoy a lot. So these are short brain gym activities for young learners, but also suitable for older students. What happens if you want to start your lesson? And I chose this title from a textbook for primary students, but at Camp Fun that's impossible. There's a mistake there. This is not correct. This is the title of a unit in a textbook for primary students. I think it is 4th form. So what I bring is a challenge. We're going to start a new unit, but what do I bring? A challenge. What is the correct? Can anybody write on the chat what the correct phrase or title for this unit is? Can it be at Camp Fun What is it? Fun at the camp, very good. It's fun at the camp. That's it. So I'm giving my students a very easy challenge. What I did, I like working with anagrams a lot, or to scramble the words. So instead of opening the book and saying, okay, today we are starting on page 25, the title is, write it on the board before opening the book. So put it in order. Can we put, what can that be? And you can even elicit the meaning of this and brainstorm what this could be about. And you can work before starting with the unit. You can bring the images, visual aids to relate to this. So instead of giving them the words, give them the pictures. How are these two images connected? What happens here? We can see some kids. What happens to them? Are they sad? How do they feel? And where are they? How is it that we can have a title for this? So we are connecting images, we're putting words in order, we're giving the brain the challenge to think in a different way, not the traditional one when we say, open the book, can you read the title? And we start with the unit. So give them the introduction to the unit in a different way, in a simple way, because this is really simple. It does not need lots of extra production teacher work, but you are connecting them to the lesson in a different way. Keep on working about camping. Remember, it was fun at the camp. So bring a picture, and I Googled for camping elements, and this is what I found ready on the web. And okay, what are you going to ask your students? Okay, what can you see here? Tell me. Or you can say, okay, look at the image for some minutes. Okay, 1 minute. You can even have a stopwatch on the board, some kind of alarm clock or something. And you say, okay, 1 minute, are you ready? Good. So now, how many flowers are there? How many of these elements do you know? What color is the car? Are there insects? So what we are doing is connecting them to different things from the previous picture. What color was the car? The car was blue. Were there insects in the picture? No. How many flowers were there? Can you count the flowers? How many colors? Or what color are those flowers? How many trees? Are the trees the same or different? So what we are teaching them is to pay attention to tiny details in a different, the next time they will be trained on what to see or what to look at. But the idea is make it brain friendly by this, by giving them a challenge so that they don't know what to see the next time, and they will start being more attentive, and they will be alert on what to expect from the activity. And again, my lesson has not started. It is not that we have read the text about fun at the camp. We are just eliciting and predicting what this could be about. Good. That was an activity before starting a new lesson. When you relate, when you want to introduce a new topic, that was a way I like using to introduce these new topics. And I like having brain breaks or brain-friendly activities all the time, because it is not that you say, okay, we will have one brain-friendly activity. The idea is to teach brain-friendly, to teach taking the brain into account and what the brain needs. So I brought brain breaks for you as part of these kind of activities. These are the small things you can start introducing in your brain-friendly lessons. This is an activity I love, and it's called the 5-4-3-2-1. And the idea is your students know this activity. It is the 5-4-3-2-1, but you will always change the task till the moment they will suggest ideas for this activity, because it goes like this: 5, find 5 blue objects. So the idea is you stop whatever you are doing. There is a trick here. The blue is in red, so they need to pay attention. Find 5 blue objects. So look around in the classroom and give me 5 blue objects. So you start. I can have my notebook here, the markers over there, the poster on the wall, and I keep on spotting 5 different blue objects. Okay, now 4. For what? Holding hands with 4 friends. Hold hands quickly. So this is something short and sweet again. So you give them different tasks. Movement, jump 3 times. So everybody stands up and jumps 3 times. Stretch twice. Okay, 1 and twice. Good, there we go. 2 times. And 1, recite 1 tongue twister. In this case, we look for 1 tongue twister. In general, in my classes, I can have posters on the wall, so they choose 1 and they read it, they recite it. The idea is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next class, you say, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I can give the task to Susan. Susan, can you give me 5? 5 what? 5, I don't know, jump 5 times. Okay, and then I can ask Karina. Karina, 4 what? Find 4 yellow pencils in the classroom. So give them the task, change that task from the first time you show it to them as being responsible for it. Okay, when you see that they are tired, when you see that they are that the classroom is a mess, basically, and Susan was talking about the kids after the pandemic, and this is something we see. They get they lose attention easily. They are, so you can find this moment like, okay, everybody, show me your hands. Come on, shake, shake, shake your hand, get ready and show me your hand. And let's do some breathing activities. And breathing has to do with the brain, giving oxygen to the brain and calming them down. So we can go like, in, you breathe in, you breathe out. 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 You breathe in, and you breathe out. So inhale and exhale, and you get them connected to this calmness you need to keep on working. And it is okay to stop, to breathe, to invite them to breathe, and then to keep on working. So this is what we talked about today. We had the brain-friendly lesson for me needs to have an agenda so that everybody knows what is to come. And we talked about me, we talked about the brain-friendly teaching, we talk about the brain breaks as allies in the classroom, and this is what the brain-friendly lesson is for me. The brain-friendly lesson has an agenda, it has a routine, it has novelty. Perhaps you did not expect me to introduce myself with a heart with words, with a word cloud. It has images and that challenge with the meaningful content. Because what I did was to put everything in context. It was the title of the unit, and we did not mention the unit at all, but the title of the unit with words that needed to be unscrambled. We had some pictures related to those, and then we talked about some vocabulary. So I put everything in context. TPR, we need to move, and in the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we had some movement included. But there are two things. One, Susan mentioned one, too. Well, she mentioned both, but there are two things I like including. Music, because our musical ear is always there and needs to be trained for our language class, and choice. So in order to have some music, I brought a tongue twister, which is how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And we have some a log there, some wood, and the woodchuck. But in order to make music together and to work on choice, I will ask you to choose one movement different from mine to work on the word wood. So I will tap my desk and I will say how much, but when I say wood, I will snap my fingers. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if that was all the stuff I had on the desk? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? So I'm giving you choice. Instead of snapping your fingers, it could be clapping your hands or standing up, or I don't know, nodding your head or shaking your head. But the idea is let's make music together. Let's incorporate music. The brain loves music. And whenever we put music and rhythm to language, it stays and it travels to the long-term memory. It's very much simpler to incorporate language if it is sung, if it is repeated, if it has a pattern to follow. So that was the 2 points that were missing, music and choice, from all the things that I need in my brain-friendly lesson. This is just like the tip of the iceberg, because there's lots of information about brain-friendly teaching and brain-friendly learning. And if you would like to receive the presentation, the PDF of this presentation, you can scan this QR code and download it from my Instagram account. Thank you very much. Thank you for the hearts and the hands and the clapping hands and everything I can see there.
Thank you very much, Eugenia, for a very brain-friendly presentation.
Thank you.
Very interesting insights, I'm sure, that people would love to hear more about. And so I urge people to download the presentation.
Okay,
So
I'll
once
stop
again,
sharing now.
Thank you. Once again,
So that you
everybody,
can go on.
thank you for your questions. If anyone else has any questions for Eugenia or any of our panelists, please put them in the Q&A section and we will ask them once we've finished our final presentation. And first though, let's turn things over to Karina for our third presentation. Over to you, Karina.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for being here, and a very special thank you to the British Council and to Graham for the invitation. I am the Teacher Experience Manager at Bridge, and I'm a tutor and a TEFL trainer. I'm going to share my screen with my presentation as well. Okay. There it is. So what is Bridge? I said that I work for Bridge. Well, Bridge is an international organization. We are dedicated to English teacher training with a community of over 100,000 English teachers in 140 different countries. So we have resources, courses, online events, and one of our divisions also specializes in corporate language training, and it's in South America. It's in Chile. Graham already introduced me. A little bit more about myself. I have a master's in applied linguistics from the University of Portsmouth. I was an IDOL trainer, TEFL tutor, and I've been working for Bridge since 2003. These presentations were really great. I enjoyed them so much, and I heard many interesting things. However, these were all about motivating children, maybe teenagers. I'm going to talk a little bit more about adults now because we specialize in business courses. So I'm going to be focusing a little bit more about business English classes and how to motivate those learners, which is also kind of a challenge, right? Because business English, let's face it, it's boring. It's very boring. Our students get bored, we get bored. The fact is that it often involves such specific vocab and formal communication styles that are so less engaging than playing games and standing up and singing songs. And also, it's hard to see the practical value or the personal connection to the content that you're teaching. The materials are monotonous, it's repetitive. The register that we use is always formal, stiff, rigid. And individuals feel like compelled to conform a set of predetermined rules or expectations. So personal expressions, emotions, spontaneity, it's limited, it's suppressed. And this whole seminar is about motivation. There's a lot to be said about motivating students. But is it only students? Do we only need to motivate students? Are the students the only ones that get bored? What happens when teachers get bored? We become less engaged. We just start like losing interest. We lose motivation as well. And how does this impact on our students' learning process? What does everyone think? You can write some things in the chat box. What happens when we get bored? I have a couple of ideas. An uninspiring class, disinterested teacher. This lowers the whole energy level. It dampens our students' enthusiasm for learning. When we're bored, what ends up happening is we rely on traditional teaching methods. Let's complete this exercise. Let's answer this question. Let's open our books, page 23, exercise 2. And then we wait for them to complete. It's repetitive, it's lecture style instruction. We're less likely to explore new strategies, implement new technology, use innovative approaches. A diverse learning experience increases creative thinking, problem solving, and creativity. So what happens is we're missing a great opportunity to explore 21st century skills. Everybody's heard about 21st century skills. They're like so popular these days, but it's so important. When we're bored, we become less and less creative. This leads to a negative classroom atmosphere. It reduces the connection with our students. It reduces trust and support. Students start feeling less comfortable to participate. Of course, this in turn increases our boredom even more. It becomes a whole vicious cycle that's really difficult to get away from. When students start perceiving their teacher as disinterested, it undermines their own motivation to learn even more. If students consistently experience unengaging and uninteresting lessons, they may develop a negative attitude towards education in general. I just hate English. I don't like this. I'm not good at this. So The idea for today is to present some activities that will make classes fun for your students, but fun for you as well. It should be fun for teachers. Activities should always be motivating for teachers as well, because this leads to a whole set of other emotions that will be happening in class, like more creativity, more problem solving, more practical thinking. So the first activity that I'm going to share with everybody is Call My Bluff. This is a very popular game. And the idea of Call My Bluff is it works great if you want to teach vocab, if you want to teach pronunciation. It could be adapted with group classes, one-on-one. The idea is, let's say that you're working on vocab, you present a word and 3 definitions, or a word and 3 different ways to pronounce that word. So one is right, the others are wrong, and students will have to guess which one it is. So I chose a word that was it's a very uncommon word. I did not know this word even existed. So this is the word I chose for this game. So we all, to make sure that at least most of us, does anybody know this word? Is anybody familiar with this word? Yes, no? Chat box? Oh, there's one person that said yes. Zaida said yes. Oh my God. Okay. And Luciana also said yes. Okay, I had never heard of this word either. So what I'm going to do first is give you 3 ways to pronounce this word. Only one is correct. So the first one would be petrichor, petrichor, or petrichor. So 1, 2, or 3, which one do you think is the correct pronunciation of this word? We still don't know what it means, but everybody says number 2. I saw a 3, 1. Okay, let's see. Yeah, number 2 is correct. It's a petrichor. And what is that? Is it something pleasant or something unpleasant? Pleasant, unpleasant? Unpleasant is the feeling of seeing a word, you have no idea what it is and having to guess, right? Pleasant. Okay, let's see. Yes, it is. Is it something you can see, hear, smell, or taste? Taste, hear, smell. Most people are saying smell. Hear, taste, see. Let's see what the correct one is. It's something you can smell. Okay, so now we know how to pronounce it. We know that it's pleasant and that you can smell it. Is it the pleasant smell that often accompanies the first rain after a dry period? Or is it the pleasant smell that often accompanies the first meal after a fasting period? Everybody's saying rain. Let's see. Yes, it is. That is the meaning of petrichor. So the idea is you can use words, of course, words that are related to the topic you're using and everything, and play this game with them. Find a couple of different varieties of definitions, pronunciations. It could be to introduce a word or to review a word. Maybe students do know this word because you just introduced it a couple of minutes ago and you just want to review. So it could be used at any point of the lesson. It could be used for vocab, for pronunciation, for meaning, or phonology, whatever you prefer. But kind of having students guessing and figuring it out, it kind of involves, it makes it more engaging and a little bit more participative than just completing an exercise. The next game I wanted to share with you is a negotiating game. This is an awesome game to practice the first conditional, and the first conditional in a business environment, because there is a lot of negotiation in business. So the idea of this game, you split the class in 2. Whether if you have only 2 students, you split one would be one group, the other student would be another. If you have a one-on-one class, it's your student versus you. If you have a more numerous group, it becomes a lot more fun. So you divide the class into two groups. One group will be the employees, the other group will be the boss. First thing you do, let's come up together as a group with a list of 10, 5, 15, 26. I don't know, you set the number. A list of things that they want, the employees, a list of things they want from their boss. And the boss, a list of things that they want for their employees. So one group will be the boss, one group will be the employee, and they have to write a list of things they want the other person to do. For example, the employee wants a faster computer, more time off, paid lunch. And the boss wants everybody arriving on time to get better customers, to increase sales. For employees to get better customers, for employees to increase sales, of course, right? So once they work in separate groups and come up with those two lists, they should agree as groups, then it's time to negotiate. Once the list is complete, the first group says the first thing on their list. The other group will agree. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Provided they do, and now comes their list. And the first group says, okay, I'll do that if, and then yeah, of course, if, and that's where you practice the first conditional. It's really great. No matter what they ask for, you're going to say yes, but you have another condition. For example, the boss says, I would like you to arrive early. The employee answers, I will arrive early if you allow me to take more time off. The boss says, okay, you can take more time off if you increase sales in 10% the next quarter. Okay, I will increase sales 10% next quarter if, and that's how the game continues. You can even make it a little bit more complex, including varieties of the first conditional, such as words like provided, as long as, unless, and all the other variations that we have with the first conditional. This is something that could be used as negotiation with these topics when we are working with business English. But this game could also be adapted for general English, for children, for anything. I tried in a class the same game with a group being the husband and the other group being the wife. So stereotype husband and wife situations. What I want my hubby to do, take out the garbage, take the kids to school, clean the bathroom, etc. What does hubby want? Well, I want the house cleaned. I want, like, stereotypical. It's okay. We're in a fun and mocking environment. So I even encourage them to become stereotypical, because then the negotiation is hilarious. So yeah, I'll take out the garbage if you take the kids to school. Okay, I'll take the kids to school if you pick them up. Okay, I'll pick them up if you, and that's how the game continues. It's really lots of fun. This game is, it works in all levels, all kind of environments. Even if they don't learn, if they have never seen the first conditional, you can have them using the first conditional too, because they will just focus on negotiating and winning. So they get their attention off the language structure and everything becomes more fun. Next game is the expert game. I called it the expert game because I knew it with a word that I'm not going to use here in this seminar. But the idea is you choose a topic. It could be marketing, if it's business, marketing, IT, any topic. The idea is try to get a topic that the students have no idea what it's about. So if you choose marketing, you choose that for the IT expert and give the IT topic to the marketing expert. The idea is choose a topic that students are not familiar with. But this time they're going to pretend that they're the experts in that topic. So everybody else in the group will start asking questions to the expert. But of course, the expert will have to sound convincing. They will have to start answering those questions about IT, marketing, or whatever topic that you assign to that student. Make it convincing enough. And they have to answer immediately, no matter what. They have to say something and respond as if they knew about it. They have to make up the information. Yeah, marketing is a great strategy because it allows you to listen to music while you're driving. Yeah, that's what marketing is, isn't it? Everybody agrees with me. I have a PhD in marketing from, so yeah, I know about marketing and listening to music while you're driving. This is the most important thing you need to learn. So if you're saying it convinced enough, and try to convince others that what you're saying is actually true, no matter what you answer. It's really a very fun moment. Students should be encouraged to become very, very creative with their answers. Try to say things that are completely disconnected to the topic. We're just having fun. It's not an activity to show how much you know about something. It's just an activity to have fun. So they become the experts in something that they are not experts at. Of course, they have no idea what it's about, so they can be creative. They can start making up situations and enjoy that class. Okay, so this is a little bit the three games that I had prepared for you. What I have right now is a surprise. I also said that I work for Bridge, and we have teacher training courses. And for anybody at this webinar watching this, there's a promo code if you want to sign up for any of the courses, or if anybody wants to contact me at any of, you can email me or send me a WhatsApp message. And if you want to join and sign up for one of these courses, we have a 10% discount for everybody that wants to sign up using this promo code. So thank you very much for this presentation and for the opportunity to share this with you. And now I will leave you back to Graham, and we'll go over the questions for all three of us. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you very much, Karina, for a very creative presenticore of a presentation. Okay, I'm calling you a bluff. I made that word up, but I can almost smell a pleasant smell of learning after our brains have been engaged with yours and our other two presentations. That, and I can also almost taste Susan's chocolates as well, which, you know, you sent me off to Susan. I'm going to have to go and get some chocolates later. But now we've heard from our amazing speakers, let's go to the Q&A, the question and answer session. You still have time, everybody. If you want to add questions in the Q&A section, we have around 20 minutes for our panelists to answer the questions. I'm going to go back to some of the first questions that were asked, and they're about your presentation, Susan, and then I'll jump forward. But the first question that was asked was by Carolina Vidal, and Carolina asks, how do you deal with shy students?
That's a great question, and it's one that all my teachers ask me. How do you deal with shy students? Well, I think most of you know that I'm a trained educational dramatist, and so I never ever go into the classroom imagining that they are going to be shy. I always imagine that they're going to rise to my expectations and that they're going to join in because I believe it's motivating. So I expect them to believe it's motivating. And I'm sure Eugenia will agree with me on this one, that most of our shy students are shy only at the beginning. And then they realize that it opens up all their channels of learning, which haven't been opened up before in English language teaching. And they begin to realize that they can join in, maybe for the first time ever in the classroom. And in my experience, which as you know is very long in many different countries with many different nationalities, I always find that the shy learners are the ones who blossom. The shy learners are the ones who amaze you. But if you don't do it, you will never be amazed. So the important thing is just do it. Just try it, and then you will be convinced. If you don't dare try it, then you'll never help them to blossom. And this is part of our job, I think, to give them confidence first, fluency second, accuracy third. I know that's a different way round from the way most people do it, but I find that if I can give them the confidence to join in, then I am really teaching them the language as communication. And they have never let me down up to now. So go ahead, try it.
Thank
then
you
write
very
it.
much. Thank you, Susan. Eugenia, there's a question about the number of brain breaks that you would recommend for a 40-minute class, and that's Guadalupe Rochetti asked that question.
Okay, I think my first answer to that question would be as many as you need, but you cannot have one brain break after the other for 40 minutes running. So the idea is you can have in between activities, you can start your lesson with one brain break. That would be to get them connected to the beginning of the lesson, because this is part of your routine. And if you, whenever you feel like making a pause, when you change from one activity to the other, the idea of the brain break is that you're not teaching something, but you're giving their brains a break in between activities or before starting to get connected to the lesson. So the idea is you can make it meaningful. Instructions are done in English. You give them the instructions in English. So it is communicative, but there is no teaching point for a brain break. But the brain-friendly activities is something different. It is the way you introduce the activity and the way you put their brains into action when working with some specific language content.
Excellent, thank you, Eugenia. And I think this is a question for you, Karina. It's the last question that was asked actually by, well, one of the last questions that was asked by Patricia Pass. And she asks about groups of adults. It's similar to the question that Susan answered, but I'll ask you to comment on it. Some groups of adults are very self-aware of themselves and they don't like improvising or having fun. How do you go about approaching that type of student?
Yeah, I was reading that question while Susan was answering the previous one, and I said, this is the same idea, you know.
Yeah.
I've had groups of students that were like, I need to learn grammar, teach me grammar, because that's the only way I'm gonna learn. And sometimes, you know, students don't realize, oh, sorry, I lost one of my ear pods. Sometimes students don't realize what it is that will actually help them. And they feel that if a class is fun, they're not learning. In order to be academic, a class needs to be dry, serious. That's like very typical. And you start learning once you like implement maybe one game, like, yeah, okay, let's do exercises. Let's be serious. Let's be stiff. Let's be academic. But hey, let's do this for 5 minutes and then we'll go back to the academic. And once they start seeing that they can enjoy and learn, that idea of not enjoying fun activities just goes away. Because the thing is, we're not doing activities, we're not playing games in class because they're fun and because we want to like laugh. No, we're playing games because there is a grammar point there that we want to practice. There is a lexical set that we want to show our students and that we want to use in context. And so when they get the idea that actually the game has a linguistic aim, then they realize that the same learning can happen while they're having fun, and it doesn't have to be boring, stiff, and academic for learning to take place. In fact, most learning takes place when it's not boring, stiff, and academic. When we relax, when we take away the affective filters that Stephen Krashen talked about so much. So there's a lot more that can happen when we relax and enjoy. And we need to start showing our students that this is important. So one when I get students that want like very academic, okay, let's slowly try to sneak in some games in there. And then they're the ones that are asking for it. It happens.
It's a very good point. Thank you, Karina. Another question for Susan now. Susan, again, it sounds like we have a few teachers of adults in the audience today. How can I engage adults in multisensory activities, especially taste and smell? Asks Veronica Vitali.
Okay, Veronica. I have taught adults many, many times in my life, although I must say to you that my passion has lain with teenagers. I've been mainly involved in teaching high school in Singapore, in Saudi Arabia, in Spain, and here in Argentina, but I've also done primary teaching and kindergarten teaching. So I've had the whole range. And what I find is that you can include multisensory teaching in whatever you're doing. So I'm not saying change the whole thing that you're doing. I'm saying keep the text, change the task. So that what you do with them, as Karina said, is not the boring stuff, not the grammar stuff all the time. Maybe you can do a mini grammar lesson, but then you have to change the task. And so with adults, you can include the gustatory sense by asking them to bring in stuff to make. Teach them how to make sandwiches, teach them how to make a fruit salad, and you do all the chopping and all the vocabulary with them so that they can learn how to express it. Because I think it's very important, well, for me at least, it's very important that they learn to express themselves. So I don't go entirely along with Stephen Krashen when he says comprehensible input is the most important thing. I think it is important, but I also believe that, as Meryl Swain from the Oise Institute in Canada says, comprehensible output is equally important. So if your students can't show you that they are learning and show the other people in the class that they are learning, then you may not have taught them it. So we need the comprehensible input and the comprehensible output. In terms of smelling, you can think of lots of activities to do by bringing in perfumes, by comparing perfumes, by bringing in sugus, which are sweets we have here in Argentina, and letting them choose a flavor and then explain to everybody what it tastes like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. So you include all the senses, even within the taste sense. So we use metaphor a lot, especially with teenagers and adults. And I think you don't have to always use the sense of smell and the sense of taste, because those are the most difficult. But the idea that I gave you, mixing up the senses to write a poem, is just that, in fact. It's mixing up the senses and using it as a metaphor. So I hope that helps you. Thank you, Veronica. Thanks to you too.
Thank you, Susan. And Eugenia, I don't know if you have any other ideas about this other than the ones that you have already shared with us, but Ana Venegas asks about brain breaks for teenagers or brain activities for teenagers. Do you have any that particularly work well for teenagers that you haven't already shared with us?
Teenagers love brain breaks. Teenagers love being challenged, and they start bringing their own ideas into the class. I have worked with teenagers for quite a long time, and they loved working with brain breaks. Any cross-lateral movement is great for them. So when you ask them, but there are many activities and they are easy to Google. If you Google in YouTube or you make a search in YouTube, looking for brain break activities, you will find lots of videos. It could be, but you can also have brain teasers for teenagers. When you choose two images or you put two words together, and they come up with a new word or phrase. So it is, in general, we call this, when you read literally what you can see, you get a new phrase. So those are brain teasers that teenagers love too. But they are easy. They are easy to Google. They are easy to find on the web.
Excellent. Thank
The
you.
important thing is to give them a try, because you
Of
can have
course.
long lists, but if you do not put them into action, you need to put them into action.
Exactly. And Karina, I'm going to ask you this question, which is all about mixed ability classes. What about mixed ability classes and what you were presenting? How would you approach the activities that you shared with us in a different way, for example, with mixed ability classes?
Yeah, I usually like when people are of different levels and different abilities, I usually like to mix them up a little bit. In some activities, like put a strong student with a weak student, but then in others, put strong and strong, weak and weak. Kind of like vary how you distribute the groups, because sometimes it's good to let them lean on the strongest student, and sometimes it's good not to. Sometimes it's good to change the task that you have for them, give them a simple task if they're not very very proficient, and sometimes it's good to challenge them. I find that the best thing you could do is apply as varied techniques as possible in class, because that's what will let you reach the most amount of different learning styles, different abilities, different levels, different everything. If you always repeat the same thing, and if you're looking for the one type of activity that will suit every learner, then I'm sorry, I don't think we have an answer for that. The idea is to be as creative and as varied as possible, and that will allow not just work with mixed abilities, mixed levels, and mixed everything, because the fact is we're all mixed. There's no two people alike. So we're always dealing with mixed abilities, mixed levels, mixed interests, mixed everything. Sorry, Graham, I would like to, because there is a person that's Alan
Sure.
Gomez that asked a question and said that he has not been
Yeah.
responded.
There are quite a
yeah.
few questions that we're not going to be able to get around to, but if you would like to,
I'd like to take that question. Yeah, can I?
Alan's question was, what's an interesting way or ways of introducing and working with vocabulary with teens and adults?
Yeah, because I feel that what I presented is connected to how to teach vocab with the Call My Bluff. But since this question has been asked, I want to show another game, tic-tac-toe. We all know how to play tic-tac-toe, right? Maybe we don't know the name in English, but it's the two lines like this and two lines like that, look like a hashtag, and draw X's and O's. What
I would call noughts and crosses. I'm sure Susan would as well. But we understand tic-tac-toe as well. It's a US word for it.
I love that game. It applies for vocab, for grammar, for anything you wish, because you put like cue cards like backwards that you can't see the cue. And if you want to place your X or your O there, you have to turn the card and respond to a task. If you're working with vocab, it could be a definition and say the word, or a word and give the definition. If you get it right, you put your X. If you don't, you give it to the other team. If they get it right, they put their O. Like these simple like games, you just draw like a hashtag on the board and everybody knows the game. You don't even have to waste time in explaining the instructions.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Karina. I think we've got time for just one more question, maybe. I'm going to throw it open. Perhaps Susan or Eugenia or Karina, you'd like to answer this. And it's from Cruz de las Rivas Zorilla. What about the kind of students who say that English is not for them at all? Sometimes I have this situation with my secondary students. They tell me that they don't like English because it's just too much or too difficult for them. Who would like to take that question?
I think it has to do with what Susan said at the beginning. When we say that we might have shy students, that they are not willing to participate when they come and say, I don't understand English at all, I can't put two words together. And this happens at any level or any age, primary, high school, adults too. So I think we need to find the way to show them how much they already know and how much they already have of the language inside them. I have a special activity I play with a balloon. It's a special ball that you put a balloon inside, you inflate it so you can throw it and it's really safe. And we play this idea of making it brain friendly, because we throw the balloon, the ball up in the air, you toss it in the air, and you have to say something as you toss it. So I usually go like, I'm Eugenia, I throw it again, I have one point. Yeah. This was not planned, you see, but I'm Eugenia, I'm 47, I'm from Padua, I'm happy, I'm a teacher. So I'm giving you 5 sentences with the verb to be in the first person. The idea is when you give your students an activity where they are challenged to say something, of course you are modeling this all the time. I gave you 5 sentences about my life, about myself, and the pattern was I am. Then you practice this once with the name, then with the age. You are prompting this on the board or on the screen. The idea is that by the end of the 5 sentences, they will be able to say 5 things about themselves, and then you can make it communicative, because if you are in a face-to-face class, you ask them to start walking around. When the music stops and where you tell them, you clap your hands, they have to bump one into the other and say, hello, I'm Euge, and you will say, I'm Graham. Oh, I'm 47, and you will say, I'm 25. I'm happy to. So you're making it communicative. They need, I think that all our learners can participate if we model everything as teachers and we invite them politely and not pushing them into doing it. But I think we need to trust them first of all.
Thank you very much, Eugenia, and I'm very flattered you think I'm 25. You
Yes,
could
you
double
are,
that and add some more, and you would. Then that's more like it. But thank you very much. So, unfortunately, everybody, we have run out of time. Let me thank again our 3 fabulous speakers for having joined us and for all of your wonderful ideas and great presentations. A huge thanks also to all of our participants. Please remember to complete the attendance survey, which a link of which is in the chat. And I'm going to ask Victoria to share it again once everybody said thanks, to make it easier to find. And if you complete this attendance survey, you will get a certificate for today's session, and we'll also get a much better idea about what you would like for future sessions as well. That helps us, and it helps us to help you. So thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening and week.